All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? It's been a while. Appreciate seeing you here. First and foremost, I need to shout out Brian Walton because this dude is like just dropping it left and right. Okay, so the last time I talked to you guys was like Thursday or Friday, right? Well, last time we did a live stream, not in Patreon because, you know, we did a Patreon stream. I think it was yesterday, right? Or day before yesterday.
Day before, yeah.
And so Brian drops $10 last week, and I wasn't even live streaming. So Brian Walton says, "Great show. Let's go Colts. Appreciate you." Then let me just tell you a little something about Brian Walton. Also, Kyle T subscribed. Appreciate that. Colts fan 57 joined Patreon. Awesome.
Cool.
And then Brian, 22 minutes ago, says he drops another $10. Says, I'm still shocked at the 69-yard touchdown to end the first half. Do the Colts not call those types of predictable plays in minicamp? It was pretty predictable. And to answer your answer, yes, they obviously were. And they were in a cover 2 zone scheme. This legitimately was all that whole 69-yard pass was on Kari Willis. All right. He was supposed to protect the deep. He let him get behind him. That was his problem. And, you know, obviously at halftime they fixed that because you didn't see any more of those deep down the field shots anymore. But he let 2 of them get by him, and both of them was Lockett, and that wasn't cool, Kari. We understand that you're a box safety, but when you're back there on a 2-deep man or a 2-deep cover zone, you need to make sure no one gets by you. Then, 17 minutes later, Brian Walton drops another $10 in the tip jar. Are you kidding me? Really? He's dropped $30 3 different times, $10 a piece between the last time I streamed and the next time, now that I'm streaming. This one says, 18 minutes ago, Blackman said they were out of place because they were trying to do too much. That was the problem last year as well. I'm blown away by that. Watched the Rams game. They only played within their assignments. How did the coaches remedy that? And Reich already stated how he's going to remedy that, right? He stated it simply. Now, it wasn't necessarily pertaining to the defense. It was pertaining to the team all around. And he says, we're going to get back to basics, understand what our basic assignments are, and work on those basic assignments. That's how you get back to that. You do not try to jump a route because you see it and then leave yourself open, right? That's not a good thing. And quite frankly, I was talking to DeQuell Jackson, if you watched that stream, and he said he bit so hard on that double move, and he should have never bit on that double move to end the half. Should have never, because you know what's coming. You know they're going to take a deep shot. He's not going to try to take the underneath route when you got to go 70 yards with like a few seconds left in the game. It's not going to happen. He's going to go deep, and he did, and he let it go by. It happens. You know, we're all human beings. I get it. They're professionals, but we're all human beings. The thing is to take what happened and remember it, and don't let it happen again. But don't linger on it too much because you still want to have, you know, if you see something and you think that you can jump a route, sure, jump it, but not when you're the deep safety. Okay? That's the thing. You need to make sure you have someone behind you The last guy always needs to play it safe because that is what it is, right? You don't want to let somebody get past you if you're the last guy of defense. Now, if there's someone right behind you, then you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if he was just behind Lockett on that first touchdown pass? That whole looping throw that he got off and stuff. Oh, clear beverage, I like it. But that whole looping, how he's over the left shoulder and then he twisted his body and started going to the right. If Kari was behind that play, Kari would have saw that way before Tyler Lockett, and yeah, that play would have not ended up with that result for sure.
Absolutely. Joe Thornburg in here says, yeah, that's why they call it a safety, right? Yeah, it's true. But, I mean, to be fair, there is a difference between playing your box safety, which you can jump routes at that point. If you're playing the underneath drop safety, your box safety situation where you're expected to cover, your crossing patterns and your tight ends and things like that, sure, you can jump routes at that point. All right, and that's what Kari's used to doing. And Julian is generally the guy that's sitting in the back being the safety, right? The safety, the free safety. But they were playing a lot of two deep, which means Blackman had his side of the field, Willis had his side of the field. Neither one of them could take a chance to jump in a route, right? But yeah, it happened. They learned from it. They learned from their mistakes. I do see in here that Alpha said that our cover 2 was the problem. Also, they dissected it like an anatomy lab, and not completely. You think about, okay, so here's the situation. Most of the passing that was done was checkdowns, other than the 2 or 3 passes that he threw downfield. He hit one deep pass in the second half to DK Metcalf. He had 2 passes deep to Tyler Lockett, but most of them were checkdowns. Most of them he was hitting his tight ends. He was hitting the short receivers. And that's what cover 2 is meant to do, right? It's meant to make you take the check down, throw it quick, take the check down, and not make mistakes. And in the second half, it worked. I mean, I'll take giving up 7 points on defense per half. That's if you can't beat a team that only scores 14 points in a game, then you don't deserve to win. But
that offense definitely. Then the offense will be the topic of discussion.
Yeah, then the offense. Well, I mean, the offense is still a topic of discussion in this one as well, but for a completely different reason. I thought our defense did okay for the most part. Kari Willis was an issue a couple times, but they were big issues. I mean, they ended up 14-point issues. Our run stopping was bad. It was just there was a lot of missed tackles. Heck, Chris Carson, the running back, broke 4 tackles. Okay, in this game. Now, you're like, well, 4's not great. That's the 3rd best of the whole week. Only 2 other people had more broken tackles than him. You don't want to be that defense that has that kind of a stat dropped on you. Okay, not when you're supposed to be a run-stopping, tackling machine defense.
Yeah, with this scheme, if you don't stop the run, I mean, it's you just totally take all the strength away from this defense because if the defense is designed to make this thing one-dimensional, and then like you said, then all we got to do is just keep them in front of us and make the tackles.
Exactly. There was a problem with a little bit of physicality. I see Alpha in here talking about that, and it is true because what was it? Disley, I think, was the tight end's name that caught the pass on that swing route and
then threw his own pass, labeled number 58.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby Okereke comes streaming in like he was like a bullet. And he's like, I got you. And then Disley's like, sit down. And that was awful. that's one of them highlight reel things that you don't want to be part of. You know what I mean? I mean, that was awful. And we've talked about that. We have had this discussion. Anthony Walker, that wouldn't have happened to Anthony Walker. I'll guarantee it. Anthony Walker would have took him down. Bobby Okereke, we said, you know, he comes in a little high on tackles too often. He doesn't shed his blocks. He's not a downhill tackler, right? He's more for coverage. And it showed yesterday. Or not yesterday, sorry, 2 days ago. But still, you know, it was an issue. It was an issue. And it wasn't just Bobby O. It was a whole lot of people over there on that front seven that was having problems. So, you know, you give up almost 6 yards a carry. No, there's a problem there somewhere, because it's not like he ran 6 yards every stinking time before he ran into somebody.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, 6 yards a carry. You know, that puts you in the linebackers, and then you factor in that your middle linebacker only gets 5 tackles the entire game. The math just doesn't add up for a desirable outcome.
Exactly. I see Brandon Wood is in. What's going on? Appreciate you being here. FaZe is in here. But that was a tough game, but I feel confident about this week. FaZe, I'll tell you what, there was a lot to take out of this game that leaves me feeling optimistic. Not good, because it's still the Rams, but optimistic about next week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Rams are still the Rams. I mean, if you happen to watch that game, it happened exactly the way I figured it would. I've been saying all offseason the Rams are going to be a beast this year, and they proved it. Week 1 just came out and just slaughter-hosed the Chicago defense. And I'm not even talking about the Rams defense, which we already know is the number 1 defense in football, statistically speaking. But their offense was just on fire. And you remember, the Colts played the Bears, right? We had a little bit of problem putting points up against that team, didn't we? Boy, I tell you what, Matt Stafford threw like he was playing against high schoolers against that team. So, yeah, a little scary, especially with the way we were tackling. We can't walk into this game the way we did the Seattle game and tackle the way we tackled in that game. There's just no way. No way.
There's got to be a lot of soul searching from each individual player. I mean, both offensively and defensively. I mean, these guys, you know, everything we're hearing is what you expect to hear. But like I said, these guys have to just dig deep and be like, look, we realize we stunk it up. You know, nothing we can do to change that one. But yeah, definitely take everything that everything that you learned Sunday, and let's apply it to this Sunday and make sure that we don't sit there and lose another game. You know, if we don't end up with the dub, let's make sure that we force them to win it and not us lose it.
Faye says the Bears aren't good at all, though. On offense, I'll tend to agree with you. But on defense, they're solid. They have playmakers over there. You remember, I mean, I think we won by scoring 19 points against the Bears defense last year. And barely came out of that, really, the way I felt it. But their defense is very, very good. And Stafford and the Rams just took advantage of them. Sendejo, that's who we picked up from the Browns?
Yeah.
All right, you got any other information? I know that we let go of some people too.
Yeah, like I was talking to you off air, I guess we finally found our Sasha replacement. But yeah, I mean, yeah, what is it? 12-year veteran, you know. So he's been in the league. He's got a lot of games on him, so he has that experience and stuff. So there's the upside to that. But you know, once again, this is a guy that I mean, if we're relying on him to help shore up our defense, I have a feeling that things aren't quite where we need them to be defensively in the safety spot.
Smith, our right tackle. There's still no news on him, is there?
Not that I've heard today. No,
that's what I was thinking. When it comes to Braden Smith, let's not take, well, he came in the day after and talked about an injury report as it's anything serious. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. Frank Reich hasn't said nothing. You know, he said it could have. He might have came in and been like, you know what, I got cramps in my foot. Who knows? We don't know. And there's a lot of people talking about, well, he might not be playing. Well, no, Carson Wentz might not be playing. Frank Reich might not be coaching that game. You don't know. It's the world, we don't know what's going on from today to tomorrow. The injury's an injury. Now, the Fisher thing, that's more of an up in the air right now as well. I don't know. Everything seems to be tending towards possible, but, we all expected him not to play week 1. I'm pretty sure everyone was expecting that to happen, that he wouldn't play. But the possibility of week 2, right? Possibility, and it's still a possibility. But when it comes to Braden Smith, there is no news on it. We don't even know what the injury was. We just know it was a foot issue. Yeah. That's it. He could have had a stubbed toe. We don't know.
We don't even know when it happened. This could have been simply something. This explains a little bit if this is the case, and like I said, this is just me hypothetically, okay, guys? But maybe he had injury started earlier in the game, and that's why he had such poor performance, or whatever, So let's just let's just hold off. Let's see what the coaches tell us. We all got to get used to this new schedule they got this year with with going in on Monday and taking Tuesday off. The last few years, Monday was their off day, and Tuesday was when they came in.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get a lot of this information just a day later. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't know, and Reich don't know. He said he's going to get looked at. They'll have trainers look at him and stuff and see. They probably wanted to wait a couple days just to see how it acted, over the next couple days. Otherwise, had it been bad, they would have went and had MRIs and stuff like that, and then they would have had information for us, Obviously, it wasn't that bad because, like we said, he finished the game, went home, took a nap, woke up the next day for walkthroughs on Monday and was like, I'm having a little lingering issue. It might be a hangnail, but I'm not 100% sure. Come on. We don't know. I'm not going to get up in arms over something that I don't know yet, Could it be that somehow he just managed to play the game with 5 metacarpals broken? It's possible. I doubt it, but it's possible, and then he come back in and his foot was black all the way up to his knee, or black and blue, we don't know. Or like I said, it could be a hangnail that he didn't get trimmed right and it got infected right there a little bit and it's a little sore, we don't know. Come on. Let's wait until we know exactly what's going on before we start losing our heads over, who's going to start left tackle, who's going to start right tackle.
There's plenty of other things that we could talk about and be a little more constructive for sure.
Absolutely. Like when is Rodrigo Blankenship going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? Oh.
Yeah, like I said, I watched that game. I went through and watched it again today while I was, dealing with the IRS. And I just, the more I watched it, the more I just seen there was a lot of individual plays. We keep talking about a team, but I just felt like, especially, on both sides of the ball, there was just a lot of, I don't want to call it hero ball, but it was just people sort of not staying in discipline and not staying with their assignment or what we used to seeing. And I don't know why that happened this year. I don't know. Was it because everything was so broken up during training camp or what? I don't know. But like I said, I feel like we got the right guys as far as, the players and stuff and the character. And then we definitely have the right coaching staff. So they'll get, what do they say? They get back to the lab and work things out and figure out what the best line of attack is.
Absolutely. What's up, KDC City? On the Rise Colts podcast. Appreciate you, Truett, Tressler, Wentz season. Now, a lot of you guys have already said stuff. I just hadn't shouted your names out, but I've been referencing what you've been saying here in the chat. Dude, the offensive line. There was some things that I was noticing that I think could have been done differently. But, it's no secret the offensive line had issues yesterday in both the run blocking and the pass blocking. There were a few instances, people bring up Will Carson Wentz held the ball for almost 3 seconds at a time, and I went through that. And if I take away scrambling plays where he's flushed out of the pocket within the first 2 seconds of being in the pocket, being flushed out because of possible sack, or play action, which instantaneously adds almost a full second to you holding the football before he even looks at the field and starts his progressions, right? Because he's got to turn around. He takes the snap. He turns to his side. He hands the football off, but pulls it back in, does the full loop around, and then turns and then looks upfield. It's almost a full second before he's able to look at the field. And there was a lot of that going on. A lot of play. Way too much play action when the running game wasn't working efficiently. All right? If it's working well, play action works well. If the running game's not running well, play action actually hurts you. Because they're not going to fall for the play action, first off, the defense ain't. And secondly, as we talk about, it makes the quarterback hold the ball longer.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, play action is designed to draw people up. Well, their front four was taking care of our run game, for the most part on their own. Yeah. I know you had Jamal Adams, but he really wasn't as pronounced as I expected him to be.
First
he
quarter,
wasn't in our what?
He was there the first quarter, but after that, they pretty much backed him off.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. If you can't sit there and generate and force them to tighten the defense and fill that box up, then play action is just like you said. Then it's just more of a wasted time than anything. As long as their defense is comfortable sitting back and waiting to see what develops and stuff, believing in their front four like we want from our defense. It's like you said. Then it's just sort of exercise of futility, I guess you'd say.
Just plain folks, what's up, bud? He says those are factors into the average of the time the ball is held. I'm saying that Wentz did play action a whole lot more than what your average quarterback generally does. Okay, that's what I'm saying. He did a lot of play action. Like a third of his dropbacks were with play action, and that was nuts. That's way too much play action. Generally, when he wasn't scrambling, that ball was out within 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds, that ball was gone. Generally, every time. Whether it was a clean pocket or not. Because, even when he didn't have clean pockets, a lot of times he took the hits on delivering the ball. Right? He stood in there, and would take the hit and deliver the football, and he hadn't had the ball 2 seconds and still was getting hit, while delivering. So that was worrisome.
Another thing is everybody wants this more dynamic passing offense. Everybody wants these more chunk plays and stuff. You're not going to get that with this quick release type of. Yes, I understand you can do the quick release and have to run after the catch, but the thing is we had a guy doing that last year. That's exactly Phillip Rivers' game last year. This year, we're all off season. We're like, good. We've got a mobile quarterback. He can extend the play. He's got a stronger arm. He can throw the ball farther down the field. All those things require holding the ball a little bit longer. So I don't understand how everybody wants this, but then they expect the holding on the ball to be still 2.5 seconds. It doesn't add up, especially when you lose one of your top speed receivers in T.Y. Hilton for the first few weeks.
Yeah. Martin Hazel in here says Carson will have to have a faster release next game. He's going to have no choice. That brings me to another point. Carson checked down the ball. How many times was it?
Hold on.
He threw to running backs or tight ends 2/3 of his passes. I
16
can't
just to running backs.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact number, but to running backs and tight ends total, it was 2/3 went to running backs and tight ends. A lot of those were checkdowns, swing passes, and screens, right? A lot of screens, off play action at that, right? And here's the issue. I wish he hadn't used so many screens this game, because I think it would have been more effective against the Rams than it would have been against Seattle. Because the Rams don't have the linebacking core as compared to what Seattle's. That's more their strength. So that makes a little bit worrisome. Go ahead.
And I'll be honest. I think our offensive line. I mean, honestly, guys, I think Brian Kelly, Quentin Nelson, Mark Lewinsky, hopefully Braden Smith, and even I don't know Julian Davenport well enough, but these 4 guys, okay, I think they're going to come back ticked off. You know what I mean? They're going to come back with a point to prove. You know, and the thing is this offensive line with a point to prove, I'll take that. I'll take that against an Aaron Donald and this Rams defense. I mean, yeah, they looked good yesterday or Sunday also, but their game, I mean, you know, Aaron Donald wasn't getting in on a whole lot of plays until later in the second half of that game. You know, I mean, if our offense has that much time, if Carson Wentz has that much open time in that pocket, hopefully he'll be able to do something with it, you know, as long as our receivers can get open.
Hey, we're already 26 minutes in, and it doesn't feel like that. 27 people watching. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Please smash that like button. Man, hitting that like button helps me out a ton because it increases the number of people that this show is brought to by YouTube. They'll put it out. The more likes there is, the better. So please smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that as well and turn all notifications on. Let me get over here. I am going to take this moment to tell you guys, if you don't know this, you've been living under a rock for the last month, but I have another podcast with former Pro Bowl linebacker, Colts linebacker DeQuell Jackson. We do it every Monday, and apparently we're going to possibly do a live stream maybe Thursday. We haven't rolled the time down yet, but we're talking about it. So make sure you go check that out as well. Also, supporting us by hitting the like button is great, but if you want to be able to support us via cash, there's always the Patreon, which is a link down here. It's only $5 a month. You get all of my stuff, plus Patreon specific streams. Martin specifically asked for one last week after the game. I gave it to him, and we sat here for 2.5 hours just chit chatting, right?
Yep.
Had a great time with Joe Thornburg, and Ross was in there with us as well, along with Martin. So we had a blast. $5 a month. That's all it is for Patreon. Don't forget, I also have a merch shop. Link is in the description. But and then of course, right at the top is the donation. You got a question or comment that you want me to make sure that comes out on the stream, use that donation. Guaranteed it'll get out there. We already talked about Brian Walton and what he's done over the past couple days, just dropping money like crazy, and we really appreciate that so much. If finances are a little tight and you still want to help out, there's another link down here called News Break, where me and Loyalist, we drop stuff daily about just quick thoughts about, whatever's going on for that day. All you got to do is download the app and give us a follow by using that link down there. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. What's going on? Toxic Tommy's in here. Tristan Berry, appreciate you being in here. Thanks so much. Says our most dynamic receiver had one catch. He was thrown to twice. One was a beautiful... The fact that he held on, that Paris held on to that ball after he caught it and got lit up and then jumped up and was like, first down. and didn't do it in front of the guy. He didn't, go like this and get the, 15-yard penalty and chance of getting thrown out. But yeah, he had a huge day. With that one play. After that, disappeared. But that was because, as Frank Reich said, he was on a lot of deeper designed routes, and Seattle was just making sure they were taking that out of the game plan. A lot of forced checkdowns. JT had the most receiving yards. Yeah, yep. I know that as well. I mean, him and Hines, they're pretty scary out of the backfield, catching the football. So's Marlon Mack. But Marlon Mack didn't get anything out of that. He didn't come in and play at all. So
Coach won't keep him as being a secret weapon for this week. That's what that is.
Oh, I hope so. I'd like to see that. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks against the Titans, so I hope we're ready by then, Alpha says. Dude, I said Chandler Jones is only going to get better because he's got J.J. Watt opposite of him. Chandler's been good since he's been out, in the NFL. I'm glad he had a good game against the Titans. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, it's going to be easier to chase down the Texans than it will be the Titans if they had a 1-game lead.
Yep, I agree. So, I like, watching Wentz. I didn't have a problem, for the most part, the way Wentz played. I thought he played well. He played a lot. He had one pass where if the receiver hadn't caught it, it could have been intercepted. One. But the receiver caught it. It was that one over the middle that was thrown a little bit behind him. There was a defender, a safety in front of him. I think it was the Michael Pittman Jr. And then there was a safety coming up behind Pittman Jr. And had Pittman not caught it, there's a good chance that safety probably could have intercepted it. But Pittman caught it. He couldn't have led Pittman in front of him because it would have been intercepted. So, is what it is. But for the most part, he played safe football, made good decisions, extended when he needed to, ran when he needed to. I do agree with you, Loyalist. The dude needs to take lessons from Russell Wilson on learning how to use baseball slides rather than face-first slides.
Yeah. Yeah, I get. I'm always. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that how he got hurt in Seattle? Or I'm sorry, in Philly? Wasn't he diving head first into the end zone when his leg got banged up pretty bad?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I mean,
think he
if
was
it
diving
is,
into
it
the
is.
end zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's possible. Alpha says, yeah, it was awesome watching the Titans game after the Colts loss, right? I mean, come on. And then Jacksonville gets blown up. Well, actually, the Jacksonville game wasn't too bad, was it?
No, they tightened it up, but it was a turnover fest from the Jacksonville offense.
3 interceptions alone by Mr.
Two
Lawrence.
fumbles.
Yeah. Yep. But no, I enjoyed what I saw from Wentz. Honestly, I like the tough running that I saw from Jonathan Taylor, even though the holes generally wasn't there. I thought Naheem Hines played tough. I mean, come on. He escaped a sure tackle by a certain middle linebacker, number 54, over there. Remember that spin-out move he did?
Yeah.
And then picked up an extra 5 yards afterwards? That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think Naheem, he's sort of like our Dwight Freeney. He's got that spin move down pat.
Yeah.
It's like you sit there and you watch the defender. It's like, oh, there he is. I got him. Where'd he go?
Seattle only had 5 incompletions. Well, I mean, Russell Wilson had a day. I mean, he threw four touchdowns. 2 of them pretty good deep touchdowns. 2 of them mid-range touchdowns. That helps a lot when you don't turn the ball over. So no intercept. I mean, he had like a 152 quarterback rating. Like, perfect.
Just a point and a half below.
Yeah. 153.8's perfect. and he had a 152. I mean, come on. But Carson played well. I mean, good Lord. He had a, 66% completion percentage, darn near. 2 touchdowns, 250 yards, no turnovers. Well, the fumble, but that could be split between him and Kelly, to be fair. But, no interceptions. So, I mean, all in all, I'll take what Wentz did for
Absolutely.
any game.
Like I said, the things that were our biggest concerns, I felt like he answered, in flying colors. I mean, we were worried, is he going to stay in the pocket and stay tough, or is he going to start, pulling out too soon? He did fine. He did better than fine. I mean, he took some shots that I really didn't expect to see him have to take behind this offensive line on week 1, and to sit there and think also, next week we've got, the Rams coming in. Their run defense isn't nearly as stout. And then, like you said, their linebacking core, I mean, I don't want to say nothing but when you compare them to the linebacking core that we played last weekend,
yeah.
I mean, this, if we can get the offensive line, like I said, and the first thing to clean up is going to be the run game. I mean, I really feel like that takes a lot less communication and a lot more just physical punishment, So the fact that we've got the Rams coming in, and I'm not trying to build it up as, this will be an easy victory. But I mean, with our run game and with, like you said, if JT comes in running as solid as he did this last weekend, if he just sees a little better, I think, if he just, finds those gaps that the coach was talking about, especially on some of these screen passes and stuff, if he can, get that vision worked out, I can see Jonathan having a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see Taylor having a pretty decent day as long as we can get. See, here's the thing. I didn't see a lot of misdirection runs. You know what I mean? Like traps and things like that. I think I saw the guard pull a couple times, but that wasn't misdirection. That was changing strong sides, mid-play. I'd like to see some traps against this defensive line. I think that would be a really good, effective way of running, kind of bringing in the defensive tackle a little, let them come in a little bit, where it looks like you're running outside and then cut back inside into the vacated middle where the defensive tackles had vacated because you let them come up. I think that would work out very, very well. And then the linebackers, as we were talking about. But I'll tell you what, our defense against the Rams is going to have problems because the Rams got a good offensive line. The Rams got good receivers. The running back ran pretty well last week, against the Bears. And it's not like they have, superstars over there, right? At running the football anymore. But yeah, Matt Stafford's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and I think that this weekend we're going to have to lean so heavy on the run game. I do believe that possession, because to be honest with you, LA, they're the quick hitters. They're the like the Kansas City Chiefs and stuff. Where you got these speedsters and it's not uncommon to see them score on a 3-play, 5-play drives. 60, 80 yards down the field. So yeah I think just pounding them, just wearing that defense out, because the only way we're going to be able to keep up with them is, like you said, get that dynamic turnover, change of, possession and stuff, and then just make them pay. Every little mistake they have, we have to maximize the punishment for them. Because if we don't, this is going to be another ugly game.
Donald Shelton, they used a crap ton of running back screens, dude, to slow them down. Letting the edge come in, as you say, the bubble screens, letting the edges come in, collapse, and then he threw it right over him to the running back and let him take off, letting the guard and the tackle out front. They did that multiple times. At least 5 to 6 times I've seen that, and only once did it go for 10 yards or more, right? Because blocking was not that good this game. That's just how that's all I can say. The offensive line just was not to par all the way around, and You're right, Toxic. They looked flat. All right.
Yes. I mean, the whole way, offense, defense. I agree that's why, like I said, I feel like this team is going to have to sit there and have this, internal conversation with themselves and really shore a lot of this stuff, because a lot of this stuff they can just turn around and make a positive that was a negative just by hustle. I mean, I cannot imagine a game where Darius Leonard got as many snaps as he gets and only logs 5 tackles. If that's happening, our defense is not running the way it's supposed to at all.
Just Plain Folks says if we slow drive against the Rams, their pass rush will get that many more times to Wentz. Well, that's the thing. Optimistically, you want to run the ball early in the game, right? Especially when you got a defensive line like the Rams. If you're able to get 3-4 yards a carry in the first half, anything more than that is gravy. But you want to run them and run it a lot to wear them down. So in the second half, they're out of gas, right? And then that's when you can pass. At
least all but one of them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that Aaron Donald even uses gas. I'm pretty sure he just uses sun or something.
Yeah, he's like Superman out there, right? Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. That's what you want to do. Just run it hard, early and often. I would not want to run play action. Not against. I mean, if you're going to run play action, run it right at Donald. Run like fake runs or actual runs right off the side of Donald on a trap play or something like that to let him come up and then side hit him and then bring the guard up to trap up the left tackle. Here's the thing. Get him winded. I know you don't think it'll happen, but I think if you let him run enough, right, get him second guessing himself so that he's not always going for the pass rush where he has to think about it once in a while. Are they going to run it? Are they going to pass it? I don't know. They've been picking on me this whole stinking game, right? We used to do that to J.J. Watt. Sometimes it worked in our favor. Sometimes it worked in J.J. Watt's favor. There was a couple games with Andrew Luck where J.J. Watt just took the game over, right? Where he ended up with an interception, strip sack, forced fumble, return for touchdown. There was other games where J.J. Watt was completely and utterly nullified, not even having a single tackle. It's because you pick on them, all right? You pick on a specific player, and you make them second guess what they're doing all the time. And you can do that. It's a mind game, but is Wright going to be better at calling those plays and winning a mind game with Aaron Donald? Would you trust that? Or would you just say, let's just stay away from
it? Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I wish I was more positive about what's getting ready to happen this week. But, I mean, man, that defense, that offense, there's just not – like I said, I feel like our best thing is we have to be physical – and we have to make them pay for every little mistake they make. And who knows, maybe get a little bit of pressure. And because, I mean, to be honest with you, there wasn't a lot of pressure on Stafford that game. You know what I mean? So we haven't seen him under duress and having to make decisions that, are sped up and stuff. I mean, yes, I know we did in Detroit, but I mean, with this team and this offense, let's test that chemistry. Let's see how much of that they've gotten sorted out and stuff. Because, I mean, we cannot get out physical again. I mean, that's our game is physicality. Okay. And that was the thing. I was so shocked that the Seattle defense just was so much more physical than our offense was. I was just like, this can't happen another week.
Exactly. Hey, Skylar and Kirsten, I'm not intentionally trying to skip anything from anybody. My chat moves. It moves with me. I'm not actually like staying at the top and going down individual one by one. Okay. I'm just whatever catches my eye. Sometimes I see it. Sometimes I don't. I did see this right here. I rolled all the way back to where saying you said going 0-2 can snowball really quick. So how focused do you see us being this week? And do you see them opening up more for Carson Wentz this week? And here's the thing. Okay, I don't think they're going to be focused. I think they're going to go out and play loose. You don't want someone to be playing tight and focused and worried about what their mistakes was the week before. Address them. You work on them without showing that you're working on them. That's the coach's job. The coach sees what the problem is and then throws in the workouts and the practices to get you fixed without even you knowing it sometimes, right? That way you're out there playing. Go out. This is what DeQuell says. When you have a really bad game, throw it out. As a player, throw it out. Let the coaches deal with how it gets fixed. They will fix you. Go out, play fresh. New week, 1-0, right? Don't dwell on the past. And I think that's the best way of going about it. Yes, I do believe Carson. Well, it depends upon also the offensive line as well. Going into LA, whether or not they'll let Carson open it up more. I think they tried to open it up for him a little bit last week, but like Reich said, Seattle was just not having it. They were playing deep. See, they were not letting anything over the top happen. But if Braden Smith and Eric Fisher both play, Kelly and Nelson get a little bit more time together. Kelly and Carson get a little bit more time together, understanding, seeing, reading defenses, making adjustments before the snap, stuff like that. It's possible. But this secondary for the Rams is scary.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing about last week's game. Last week's game, we kept saying Seattle secondary was their weak spot. And we said our offensive line was our strength. They turned our offensive line into a weakness, and their secondary played extraordinarily well. Then we sat there and said, okay, our interior defensive pressure should, because they were really unhappy with their center and one of their two guards. They performed well, And I'm not saying that our D-line didn't perform well, but I'm just saying I expected more, especially from Grover and DeForest, because of all the question marks they had on the interior. So, yeah, I mean, this game is, like you said, everybody had a bad day. We're going to, put that thing to the side. Let's fix our mistakes. Let's go through and discuss them and make sure that we're all thinking on the same page and stuff. And, go out there in the practice field and just put that stuff behind us and let's focus on, this monster task that we've got ahead of us on week 2, because it's not getting any easier in the next several weeks.
Yep. See, with T.Y. out, this is what I think they did. Now, I can't guarantee it because I don't have the all 22, which means I can't see what the safeties are doing at all times, because game film is different than all 22 film, and generally the safeties are off screen, all right, unless they're playing in box, but for the most part neither one of them were playing box. But I think they were playing a lot of over under on Paris, and I think that's why he only had 2 targets the entire game, especially after that catch that he had and made that big play, and then took the lick, got up, and he was like ready to play. I think they kept an over-under on him the entire night after that to make sure that, there was no more deep passes to Paris Campbell. And at that point, you just need your other receivers like Michael Pittman Jr., like Mike Strawn, like Zach Pascal to win their one-on-one matchups, and that's the most important. Somebody generally is going to be taken out of a game. I think Paris Campbell was that guy. I think he was the guy that, the Seahawks defense, he's not going to beat. We're not going to let him beat us. Which means everybody else had to win their matchups and get open one-on-one. I was very impressed with Mike Strawn. He had 2 targets, 2 catches, and both of them were in traffic contested catches. Hit as the ball hit his hand, and he held on, came down with the football. Very proud of Mike Strawn. Even though it was only 2 catches, it still showed me that he can do it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they're already, dialing up some plays for him because, as we all know, we've seen it with JT last year, These rookies come in and they learn a specific little lane or whatever, and we discussed that during training camp. Strawn knows basically one wide receiver position. So as he continues getting more opportunities and stuff and getting more practice time, and expanding that route tree and stuff. This is, there again, somebody that, hopefully by the end of the year, whenever it really counts during the playoffs and stuff, that, now he's more diversified and more comfortable in the system.
Joe Thornburg dipping his hand into the donation jar. Thank you so much. Already donating over there on Patreon, hanging out with us, talking on the Patreon stream, which you guys can go watch right now if you want. But why don't you wait until we end the live stream? I'd appreciate it. But he drops in here and says, yo, Loyalist, pocket pressure is always going to be the secondary's best friend. Look at Pittsburgh. They generally have one stud and a bunch of thugs on the back end because the front seven, that formula works. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, like I said, I felt like our D-line did okay, but I felt like I expected more, especially up the interior, from, like I said, DeForest and Grover. But, yeah, I mean, go ahead.
That touchdown pass, the first touchdown pass.
To Lockett.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson got lit up on that pass.
Yeah.
Lit up by DeForest Buckner. I mean, he threw with DeForest in his face, right? Getting crushed. That's why it was such one of them weird lob high rainbow things, because he couldn't throw a good pass. He had to get it over that, 18-foot freaking reach of DeForest Buckner. When he threw it, he got crashed, right? He was in the backfield quite a bit. He was getting the majority of the pressure of the night. Pay held up pretty good, but the other end, the other side, you didn't see a whole lot of pressure from the DE2, and
it didn't matter if it was Al Qadim, if it was Taekwon, it didn't matter. Like you said, there was just not a whole lot of anything.
No. Ben Banigou, I think, had 5 snaps or something like that in this game, and there are a lot of people who are Banigou fanatics that were throwing a fit about it. Well, Eberflus straight said, Banigou is part of our Formula One crew, right? Yeah. Basically, when you're looking at third and long type situations. And he said they were only in that situation 6 times the entire night. And that's why Banigou didn't get as many snaps as normal, as what you would expect.
And that goes back to our run D. You know what I mean? Whenever they're playing, second and 8 and then third and 4. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to put that package out there when they still have the option of either run or pass.
Exactly. Hey, Herbicide 73, I just want to say I see you in here. Same with Tina Matherly. Donald says, where was Pittman? If he wants to be number 1, he's got to find ways to get himself open. It is true, especially against guys that you should be getting open, because next week, guess who's covering your butt? Jalen freaking Ramsey. All right? So you better find a way of getting open. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Bren, what's up? Nelson is hurt and Braden got injured, which isn't good. Plus, Kelly got beat a lot last week. All right, Bren. We talked about that a little bit. He says, Nelson's dealing with the back injury and his foot injury, but for the most part, Nelson looked good. Nelson did not look terrible. Not like what a lot of the other guys looked, okay? As for Braden Smith, got to wait and see what's up. We don't even know what kind of injury, like we was talking about earlier. We don't know what kind of injury this is. Kelly had to deal with a lot, because I saw Nelson move over often to the left tackle to help the left tackle out, and leaving Kelly on an island. And at times there would be delayed blitzes or something. Kelly got straight beat a couple times, right? And he's dealing with that elbow injury, right? Still, he says it still smarts him from time to time. He's got a brace on, but he still, has issues with it. Our guys are still recovering from injuries, getting used to each other again, getting just into football mentality. I mean, sure, it's been preseason, but they ain't been practicing nearly as much. It's mostly been walkthroughs. They haven't had a lot of actual physical team practices together. We'll be fine. Donald Shelton says Smith's injury is his pride. You get run over the way he got run over on that sack, yeah, that'd be prideful too. Well, I mean, I get it. Kelly, we played like crap. You know, he straight said it. You know,
yeah.
Carson showed how tough he was, and it hurts me saying that because he shouldn't have had to. You know, and that's the truth. You know, Martin says, "Got to go making pizza with the grandkids tonight. Go Colts." Appreciate you, Martin. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping in. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it was more pride for a lot of people. Darius Leonard, you've seen him. We got our butts whooped. You know, he said that over and over and over. We got our butts handed to us. And you know it. Because he's not a guy who wants to go out there and say, we let Chris Carson run almost 6 yards of carry against us. Right? I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I agree. And like I keep coming back to this, guys. I mean, we know this team. We know how this team performs. I mean, unfortunately, we know all too well how they perform with losing week 1. That's all they know. So to sit there and act like, you know, because the schedule's tougher and everything, and the owner put all this emphasis, I mean, I don't imagine that changes these guys' outlook on it. Because like you said, they're proud guys. I mean, they go out there and you know, and they put in the work, and then whenever they get just, for lack of a better word, you know, they just got embarrassed. I mean, they got outworked. They got outplayed at most levels of the game. I mean, you know, we're sitting here saying how good Carson did, but he still got outplayed whenever you sit there and compare his numbers to Russell. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of maybe special teams that you can look at and say, okay, we outperformed that team there. But, I mean, on the offense and even on the defensive side, we lost those two parts of the game. And if you're losing those two, you're putting a lot of stress on that special teams.
That's true. Skylar and Kirsten asked, and this is a good one right here. Well, hold on. I'll get to that in a second because Jeff's Plain Folk says Okereke was our weakest link. We already discussed the Okereke thing, you know, and Bobby was a problem, you know. I mean, you don't run up on a tight end and get crushed like that. His embarrassment was worse than Braden Smith's, in my opinion, or at least he should have been. You know, because
his embarrassment was right there up alongside of Phillip Rivers after that fumble recovery last year. You know, I mean, except quite honestly, you know, Phillip's not supposed to go out and try to tackle these guys.
Exactly.
That's what Bobby gets paid for.
Yeah. But Skylar Kirsten says, can we win a game if we can't get the run game going against good teams, like the way Casey, Buffalo, and others can? And honestly, I believe we can. Now, here's the problem with this whole thing. This is where it comes into coaching, okay? More than on the quarterback, because we know Wentz can do it all. He can go anywhere from getting rid of the ball quickly, setting up screens, that kind of thing, throw over the middle, or extend plays, throw deep bombs, that kind of stuff. So, working the whole field, using short, medium, long-range passing, and letting Wentz free it up. But there's the problem. Everybody wants to go back to the time of time to throw situation. If you're letting Wentz go and just play his game, then those teams you just named, Kansas City and Buffalo, those two quarterbacks are not known for getting rid of the football super, super fast. Okay? They are known for being able to hold on, extend the play, and throw the ball to an open guy. And Wentz can do that. He showed it last week or a couple days ago that he could do that. But right now, Reich is trying to get him to do quick release passes, timing passes, things of that, because he still has a foot injury, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not forget about that. He still has pain. When asked about it, Carson says, yes, it's still there. I notice it. There's still pain. I can manage it, but it's still there. And the more he runs and stuff on it, the worse it's going to be. And, you know, it is what it is. I would rather, for the most part, get Carson on the timing patterns early, get him used to that, let that be his norm. That way, it's normal for him, and then when he needs to, then he can go out and extend the play once in a while when it comes to it. But that's another problem, right? Where do you throw that balance? When do you throw the balance of get rid of the football or extend the play?
Well, and that option was taken away last week because of, again, our offensive line. Even if they wanted to design a longer formate, a longer developing play or whatever, our offensive line just was not giving Carson the time to do that. You know, I mean, we sat there and we got torched on double moves by Lockett twice. I don't think there was a single play that Carson had that much time in the pocket to sit there and let a double move, route develop or anything. So, yeah I mean, you got to make sure your offensive line's clicking and get that all sorted out. And then that opens up so much more of the playbook.
Yeah, I don't think that we'll have to. It's depending upon where Herbicide, it depends upon where Donald's lined up. By next week, I expect Nelson's back to health. His spit will be a little bit better off. I think Nelson and Donald be a solid one-on-one matchup. Occasionally, maybe get a little extra hit in with Kelly or a running back or something like that to help come in, chip or something. But I think for the most part, most people are expecting Nelson and Donald to be a one-on-one matchup. 99%. How many times have you ever seen Frank Reich dial up help to Quentin Nelson?
Not that I realized, at least. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of design plays that are just automatically the center. But a lot of times you see, okay, Quentin's like, they engage and then he hands them off to Ryan and then he goes up to the next level or helps out the tackle if that's a necessity. I mean, yeah. So, and the thing is they move Aaron Donald all across that line.
Yes.
I mean, and I understand that, they think highly of Aaron Donald, but I don't care if you think highly of him. Why would you run him into the strongest point unless you sit there and think, okay, I'll keep Quentin Nelson totally occupied with, Aaron Donald, and then you leaving your left tackle out there to work with whatever else they have to throw at him.
Yeah, I agree. So it just really depends upon where Donald's lined up. If he's lined up over the left guard, I don't expect to see Nelson get a lot of help. I really don't. And that'll help. That'll open up things because Nelson practices against DeForest Buckner on a daily basis, and he's a problem too. Ask any offensive lineman. I get it. Aaron Donald is the man, but DeForest Buckner ain't no joke either. And DeForest Buckner straight said Nelson's the best offensive lineman I've ever practiced against, ever played against.
And to go, and just one step further, Aaron Donald's play is much more of speed and power, whereas DeForest is much more of that rangy, longer. I mean, he still has these power. But I think Aaron Donald, his strengths play into Quentin's strengths much more than a DeForest Buckner would.
Yeah, exactly. Bren asked a question about Marlon Mack. Says he didn't get any snaps, right? And you're right, he didn't. And I had said this earlier, and I think I know why Marlon Mack. I don't know if you agree with what I had said about that, about why I think Marlon Mack probably didn't get any snaps. The offensive line was not playing well. Marlon Mack runs best when the offensive line can land their blocks. Marlon Mack guides and directs the blocks, right? He's patient, and patience was not a virtue in this game at all. It was find a hole, hit it, go, try to run somebody over, that type of situation, because there was no holes. There was no holes. It was find your own and go. And that just wasn't a game that is generally for a Marlon Mack type player. Was more of a game for a Jonathan Taylor to run up, hit, take on 9 Seattle Seahawks and push them down the field. But that's my thought on why Marlon Mack did not play a snap against Seattle.
Yeah, I thought we'd still see him, get a few snaps and get out there and get into open space and as many screen passes and stuff that we called and we couldn't put him in any of those plays. Yeah, I'm not fully sure unless there's, like I said, unless there's just lingering reservation, or maybe he was experiencing some tenderness in that. I don't know.
Alpha says, let's be honest, the Rams are the Rams. What do you expect the Colts to exploit the most to gain advantage over them? Well, the midfield stuff, 5 to 10 yards, where the linebackers sit. Screen plays is something that I think would work very well. Quick slant patterns. Quick slant patterns. Don't let all those guys out there, doing it. Tight ends. I think Mo Alley Cox and Jack Doyle could have a day against the Rams. I really, really do, especially up the gut. Really, huh?
What's their safety play like? I don't even remember. What?
Oh, they're
You're
down
smiling.
Akers? I didn't know that. Herbicide says they're down Akers, the running back. Henderson is no joke either, though. He's not I get it. He's not as good as Cam Akers, but Henderson still can run the football. He's neither one of them, in my opinion, is like a top 10 running back, but they're top 15, in my opinion. But the safety plays good. Safety plays good. They don't allow a lot of deep stuff, and they got guys that can come up and play in the box. So it'd be nice if Xavier Rhodes comes back, as Herbicide said, from that calf injury. That'd be really, really nice. But I can't. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. I need to see tomorrow's practice, the injury report from it. See what's going on. See if he even had limited practices or not.
Yeah, because they, obviously the Colts aren't going to sit there, but we know it's a calf injury, but we don't know to what extent. We don't. They just haven't been very forthcoming with that. But the nice thing is they haven't, put him on any, he's still day to day. They haven't sit there and put any. Okay, it's going to be a week or two out there, or anything like that. So
it's not like last year's Michael Pittman Jr.'s calf injury where he had to go have 2 surgeries and was out a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully it don't turn into that. Oh, what did I just do? Back of the box is where you want to place the ball. Herbicide, that's exactly what I was saying, against the Rams. But in all honesty, we're going to do a pre-game show about the Rams later this week, probably Friday. It's generally when we run those, because I think Thursday I've got my show with DeQuell Jackson that I got to get out. But it's been an hour and 10. Ladies and gentlemen, Brent asked when T.Y.'s coming back. No clue. He's on IR. We'll see. I'm understanding 5 weeks-ish. So it could be tomorrow. It could be, you don't know.
Well,
it could be 3 weeks.
Tomorrow, but yeah.
It could be 3 weeks from now. It could be next year. We don't know. Okay? That's some weird stuff about how the Colts, that they want to give you best case scenario and worst case scenario. And when they say worst case scenario, it's like worst case scenario of, okay, after the surgery, he may have an infection, which then gets gangrene, and then a meteor falls from the sky and hits it and re-injures it again. Worst case scenario. They always add all that for worst case scenario stuff, right? And that's why, everybody's like, oh my God, 5 to 12 weeks for Carson and Nelson, but both of them played. It's a miracle. They expected 5 weeks, but they wanted to put the 12 weeks in there for worst case scenario. So
yeah, like I said, an infection and all that other stuff.
Yeah. But guys, I agree with all of y'all. Omar Khalif, hey, appreciate you being in here. He says, do you think Pascal should be the number 1 wide receiver? I think Pascal has been, he's going to be on the field a lot. I don't think we have a number 1. I think we have a whole bunch of number 2 guys, right? And what I mean by that is we have a whole bunch of guys that's going to share the amount of snaps because they're all good in their own right at what they do. You know, that's how I see it. Yeah, guys, it's been over an hour and 10. I'm going to jump out of here. I appreciate the donations, Brian. Appreciate the donation, Joe. Everybody, please smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell. That way you are notified next time we go live or upload a video. Go check out the links in the description of this video for everything. I got 36 viewers in here. Appreciate each and every one of you. You kept this going so much. I appreciate it so much. A lot of good questions. Emmanuel Gronger in here as well. A bunch of new guys. Sorry, like I said, been in here a long time. And I need to go. My throat's starting to get sore because I've been talking for over an hour. And I was screaming at my TV earlier because Loyalist made me watch Ravens and Raiders earlier. Said, you got to watch that game, especially the second half. The first quarter, I was so upset because Denzel Good got out with a knee injury. And I root for him. I root for Denzel. Kind of the Mars Hill ex-Colt, you know, got dealt a bad hand at Indianapolis, right? Wasn't his fault, you know, played pretty decent, asked to do too much for a 7th round pick that no one even knew anything about where he was from, that kind of stuff, but it is what it is. Any last words, Loyalist?
No, I just, like I said, guys, you know, I feel like a lot of these things can just be cleaned up with a little bit of practice and a little bit of soul searching. So, you know, I mean, I know this wasn't the start we were hoping for and everything, but let's just keep our heads up. I mean, you know, this week's going to be a tall task, but, you know, right now, I just want to see improvement. I just want to see that, you know, see that run game start producing on a regular, consistent. And like, I forget who it was you said, you know, but let's start beating some of these tougher teams on a more consistent basis.
Yep.
That's going to be what helps elevate this team to the next level.
I just don't want to see the Colts lose 42-10 against the Rams. I want to see a good game. You know, that's all I want. If we lose 28-25, I'll be all right with that. You know, if we win, I'd be even more all right with it. But
absolutely.
All right, guys. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist, and as usual, have a good one.